Brilliant. Thank you very much, Genevieve, and thank you to all our speakers. I think it gives an insight into the breadth of work that's going on the Coast Path, and also how we're working in partnerships. So we're now moving into the Q&A session. Please ask your questions by pressing the Q&A button. We've already had a few questions asked, and also some of them have already been answered, which is great. I'm going to ask one myself, a free one first, and that's to ask Helen. In terms of the amount of investment coming in through government, and in terms of the challenges ahead, do you think we're there? Do you think we're on the right path?
Hi, Julian. I'm just starting my video up.
And if the other participants can also start their video, that'd be good. Yeah.
Do I think we're on the right path? I think we are seeing a government commitment to environmental improvements and to some of the response to climate emergency at this moment in time that we haven't seen for a number of years. So we're seeing quite a lot of money coming into environmental initiatives, and certainly coastal resilience work supported by legislation. So we're seeing that supported by the Environment Bill, by ELMS, by some of the agricultural reform pieces. Is it enough? I think it will. The answer to that is probably we could always do more. We could always use more to be able to increase resilience. But certainly we are experiencing and seeing a lot of funding being drawn down through collaborative working and partnership working. And that for me is something that we're putting a big focus on in our rural area, to make sure that when the funding is out there, we work together to grasp that opportunity and to put together solid business cases that we can deliver in patch.
Brilliant. Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. I think we're having a slight technical difficulty getting some of the videos on. So while we're doing that, Genevieve, there's a question there in open from James and Fee Windle. Can you see that? Is the association having any more success in getting contributions from people, particularly sporting groups, using the Coast Path for events?
Yes, hi guys, I saw that one, yes. It's an interesting time to answer that question. Obviously, the event sector has been pretty badly hit by COVID, like the other businesses we've just been talking about. So it's been kind of a bit of patchy income from that stream at the moment. As you can understand, event organisers through the Coast Path Friendly Event Scheme, they give £1 per participant that they put on the trail through their events. So when the event isn't happening, you can imagine that income isn't coming in. So that was one of the income streams that was hit more significantly last year for us. But having said that, what is really lovely is that stream didn't get cut off completely. There were events that when people were able to deliver events, whether they were streamlined or whether they were made virtual, we still had event organisers getting in touch and proactively offering to still support us. So the appetite's there, and yeah, I really feel like the event organisers that we work with are really, really keen to support the Coast Path whenever they can. It's just a case of when they can.
Brilliant. I'm also going to cheat and ask another free question as well. Sorry about this. But Anjana, what's the one thing that we as an association can do to help try and address some of the issues that you've kind of raised today? Because I think they're really important, and it'd be good to know that we can start moving in the right path.
I think the key thing is that a lot of the communities that are new to the Coast Path are new to walking generally, and a lot of the work that I'm doing with the Ramblers, so they've got a massive campaign this year called Walk Your Way. What that's trying to do is trying to help communities from all backgrounds, particularly those from underserved audiences who don't necessarily have access to nature, almost like kind of get to the space where they can just say to themselves, do you know what, I can go for a walk anywhere, a green space 5 minutes down the road, and that is my connection with nature. I think a lot of what the Coast Path Association can do, Southwest Coast Path Association can do, is to really look at working with community groups to begin to build confidence to kind of within leaders who that then pass on those skills to families within their midst. So for example, if I take the example of my mother, she belongs to a Rajasthani Welfare Society community group in Slough, and they've connected over WhatsApp actually, and have done lots of online Zoom activities. Now, if I take that as an example, the South West Coast Path Association would contact that community leader and say, hey, we will, help you if you want to go for, an hour's walk, in this space. We'll work with your leaders to firstly help them to kind of break down that barrier of what it means to walk in the outdoors and what your participants are going to need. And then you would walk with those leaders, create champions within the community, and then those community champions would then be able to connect and with confidence bring those participants into that space. It's all about empowering and enabling within those communities, rather than assuming we know what's best for you, and if we put this on, you will come. That we know over decades that has not worked, because it's not sustainable. What's sustainable is empowering and enabling from within.
Good. Thank you for that. And hopefully that will enable us to start to make sure that we are starting those conversations. So really helpful. There's a question here for Olivia. Now, Olivia had to rush off, but I'm wondering, David, can I throw you in at the deep end and ask you to answer this question? So and please say if you can't. It's basically saying, what changes would you like to see on the path and in the supporting businesses to better meet the needs of your walker segment?
Well, I think in many ways, sorry, you have thrown me at the deep end there, but I'll do my best. I think in many ways the answer is in what Anjana has just said about the power of networks. And I mean, she's reminded us of how powerful networks are in terms of what they can spread virally in a positive sense. Who you know and who they know is a very rich source of changing the world, and how you move to spread messages through networks seems to me to be like the Waymakers proposal, but like the Waymakers project is a way of really doing that. So I would like to see those, I'd like to see us depending more on our network relationships and utilising those for careful purpose, really. That's a very general response, Julian. I could probably come up with some more specific stuff if you gave me a moment or two to think about it, but I don't have that moment, do I?
That's perfect. Thank you very much. I mean, we're running kind of quite close on time. So I'm going to throw out for one last comment from Alistair and then one last comment from Sarah before we pull this to a close. So Alistair, having heard what you've heard today from the forum, are you feeling more positive about where we might be going forwards?
Yes, surprisingly, with all that's gone past in the last 15 months, I think that, as we mentioned earlier, we see finally a follow-up on the Glover review. It might not be exactly as we want it, but it's moving in the right direction. Everything is going to have to be sustainable in the tourism recovery plan. They've said that they're going to be working on a sustainable tourism plan for finally as a national objective in the region. It's one of our 4 key pillars to try and run sustainably and deal with over tourism, and all these things kind of dovetail together. And if we can get people to realize the value of assets, the natural capital, to put it in its broadest term, and realize that AOMBs, national parks, national trails all need to be supported and paid for so that we can get the benefits that cover all of the issues that we've said today, from everything from well-being to health to community, as well as economic value, then I think we're certainly further forward than we were before the pandemic. I think that would be my conclusion.
And Sarah, any kind of thoughts from the National Trust perspective?
Yeah, I think building on what Alistair said, really, I think there's a few things we've learned from the pandemic. It's the importance of nature and connection with nature for our mental and physical health. It's the importance of community, importance of volunteering, and all these kind of other things. And the Southwest Coast Path is such a wonderful asset, and one that offers us opportunity across all of those things. And I guess the final thing I would say is encourage you all to get out there, and we look forward to welcoming you.
Yeah, Thank you for that. And thank you for everyone's contribution today. It's been a really interesting discussion. Always never enough time for these things. I would love to spend another hour with you talking about it. I think one of the thoughts I'll leave us with is that we've got an amazing opportunity coming up with the designation of the England Coast Path, and this whole concept that we're going to get a coastal belt which we've got a right to roam along. And I think that gives an opportunity to think maybe a bit more creatively about how we look at how that landscape is also managed to improve kind of environmental growth and biodiversity as well. So really looking forward to seeing where that concept goes, and working with people like the Environment Agency, National Trust and others, we might be able to pull together some interesting projects. Okay, thank you all for joining us. It's been a pleasure hosting this event, and for those of you who are going to join at the AGM later on today, I look forward to seeing you then. Okay, thank you all. Goodbye.